Valentine's Day may be over, but that doesn't mean there still isn't romance in the air. Hello, my lovelies. I am Madam Crystal Butterfly. I have a sweet little romance for you, my lovelies. The Perfect Voice by Beth Gelman. Per se usual, before I get into what this sweet little story is all about, let's take a moment to discuss the creative mind who crafted this lovely piece of art of the pen. At the time of the making of this video, Beth has been an author for about 2 years and she's published 2 books. Her first story, The Perfect Voice, and her second story is called Perfect Lessons, Who Knew Learning Could Be So Fun. During the first 18 months of the pandemic, Beth read about 300 books. Many of them made her cry or fall in love with the beauty of well-written words. She had always known she had ideas for stories and decided to take a chance on writing. Her mother has been a huge supporter of her stories, but wishes she wouldn't swear so much. The Perfect Voice touched a lot of deep emotion she felt coming out of college and trying to find her way in figuring out what happens next. She wanted to express those feelings outside of her mind to other women who struggle with finding themselves. It's a journey everyone has to take, and having a great friend to stand by you can make a very big difference. When it came time to publish The Perfect Voice, Beth experienced a lot of fear about if she was talented enough to actually be a published author. To make matters worse, while she had to learn the process and trying to get over her fear, she had to deal with the pressure that comes with the expenses involving having your story professionally edited and getting a cover that would leave her audience with a good impression. Thankfully, the scary side of publishing did not scare Beth away from writing more stories. Her third book, Perfect Sense, is planned for release sometime this year, 2023, and I personally cannot wait to read it. Beth's love of stories stems from a book's ability to allow a person to escape into a story. She loves seeing different perspectives of how various authors work through similar circumstances. Her favorite stories are the ones that have a main story with underlying messages and internal struggles that gets resolved in very clever ways. She also loves when a story has a really good twist. So, what is this sweet little romantic tale Beth wished to share? Music has always been Ruby's passion. However, getting out of her parents' house again after a rocky change in career paths trumps everything. So, she auditions to be a sexy voiceover artist. Meanwhile, Daniel needs that perfect voice to take his advertising agency to the next level. The stars align when Ruby blows away all the competition, not only vocally, but with all the right curves and angles. As Ruby learns the ins and outs of her new voiceover career, she also learns the angles and abs of her boss, both in and out of the recording studio. Can she prove to Daniel that he has made the right decision to hire her? Can she prove to herself she has the talent, perseverance, and dedication to overcome corporate sabotage and rumor mills to get the career she's dreaming of? Can Daniel move on from all the sacrifices and disappointments he has faced in the past, all while keeping Ruby protected from his corporate climbing past fling. My lovelies, there are two genres that I am the harshest on. The first is horror, mostly because you have an evil murderer person thing, whatever, trying to kill a bunch of people, and anyone who shows any signs of being intelligent is killed off first. And the dumbest people, who you really question why the killer hasn't nabbed yet, are allowed to run around like a pack of idiots, nonstop, where I end up begging the murderer just take them out because I'm tired of this story. The next is romance, and it has to do with a couple of tropes romance has. One trope, and probably the one that irks me the most, is allowing the male romantic lead to be a jackass, to have him be a know-it-all, basically rule over his female love interest as if she's meant to serve him and not be his partner, and make basically all the fundamental decisions for the relationship instead of discussing them with her and truly being there for her. And by being there for her, I'm not talking about being the knight who swoops in when she's in danger. I'm talking about being the guy that's there for her emotionally when she's going through something, and talking to her instead of grandstanding and making it look like everything in her world is dependent upon him. And this is something I am so grateful to Beth for not putting in her book. Daniel is ambitious and laser focused on achieving his goal of becoming the owner of the company he works for. But he is secure enough with himself that he does not feel the need to control Ruby. Even when she makes a career decision he is not alright with, he expresses his feelings about it. When she makes it clear it is something she wants to do, Daniel does not fight with her about it and respects her decision. I also love the fact that Daniel is ambitious but understands loyalty. In a lot of romance novels I've read, whenever the male lead is trying to climb the corporate ladder, he steps on people and doesn't care until the female lead comes in and teaches him that, hey, maybe you shouldn't be a jackass. The final point I would like to make about this character, via the fact that I do want to keep this review spoiler free, is how Daniel acts whenever he is intimate with Ruby. Whenever the pair decide to do the old devil's tango, Daniel is considerate of his partner. He's not just focused on pleasing himself when they're intimate, he's also focused on making sure that she is also enjoying what they do. And I'm happy that Beth put this in her story, because usually the male character, well, not usually, but a lot of times the male character does not really care about how his female partner enjoyed it. He's more focused on calling himself a stud and congratulating himself on how amazing he is in the bedroom, like he practically invented it. So I found it far more refreshing to have the male love interest not only focused on her needs emotionally and making sure to be there for her, but to also care about what her desires sexually are instead of just being mostly focused on pleasing himself. I feel that this shows a healthier male in a romance story and more of a healthier relationship, and that's a lot more refreshing to read instead of, oh, he's just so cute, and not consider these factors. The second trope that I am just so tired of seeing in romance is the female lead not knowing what she wants. Starting with whether or not she even wants to be with the male love interest, and constantly going back and forth with that till the very last second in the story, even though it probably should have been addressed a while ago, combined with her not really knowing what she wants to even do with her life, only for the answer at the end of the story to be, oh, she just wants to be with the male love interest. Well, that's cute, but love doesn't always pay the bills, honey. So what do you want to do with your life? Can you make a decision about that? Anyway, my lovelies, this is another very, very obnoxious trope that I am grateful Beth didn't do. In fact, she starts her story by making her female love interest ask, what do I want to do with my life? There are a lot of things I would like to say about Ruby, but I have to keep this review spoiler free. When this story opens up, Ruby has just lost her job. She's frustrated about her career not getting off the ground, and in that moment, she does something important. She sits down and puts serious thought to what she wants in life and makes a decision about what she wants to do. When she decides to try her hand at voice acting, she doesn't just say, I'll be a voice actor, and shows up for her job. She makes an effort to practice how she should approach the job. And I am highlighting this part of the story because this character's determination to push herself and not just have the expectation she'll get everything 1, 2, 3 makes her a very interesting character to read about. After Ruby gets a job at the same company Daniel works for, he's her superior, she quickly becomes the target of Daniel's ex-fling. This is where Ruby's biggest character flaw comes to play. She's not insecure or intimidated by the way the woman looks or the woman's position. It has more to do with how many times people like Daniel's ex caused her problems in being able to hold a job and often resulted in her getting fired. That has caused her to be a little too determined to handle problems with somebody in that position on her own, mostly by avoiding that person instead of immediately reporting when something is wrong or she suspects something is wrong. The story shows why Ruby developed this attitude because, as I mentioned earlier, it opens up with Ruby walking away after getting fired from her previous job. And she lost that job because her superior wanted to steal her idea. And the story takes time to teach Ruby to have the confidence not to act like she can handle people like that by just avoiding them and not reporting it. And also teaches her the consequences of putting the pressure on herself to only handle people like that on her own. Lastly, the perfect voice is one sexy story, but I'm not going to get too deep into the reasons why it is so hot. If you want to know, then I suggest you grab a copy of this book. Alright, my lovelies, it's time to rate this story. So, when it comes to The Perfect Voice by Beth Gelman, I am giving it the rating of 5 butterflies out of 5. This story was just a very sweet romantic tale, and it was just nice and fun and relaxing to read. And I feel the author did a very, very good job with her world building, making her characters likable, and making the story interesting and fun just to want to sit down and read nonstop. So I'll tell you right now, my lovelies, if you think skipping out on this book is a good idea, you've got another thing coming, because you need to get this story. Otherwise, you will be doing yourself just an absolute injustice. Now, if you've made it to this part of the video, thank you just so much. And please give this video a like. Leave me a little comment. And if you have not yet, slap the subscribe button like it owes you money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. And with that, my lovelies, this video is a wrap. Now, if you please, come with me as we dance into